Bear down, Chicago Bears fans. Merril Hoge continues his attack on Caleb Williams and on the Chicago Bears. First of all, he didn't like Caleb Williams, the way he played, the way he acted, the way he behaved. He said that he was going to be one of the biggest draft busts in NFL history, and Merril Hoge has had a record of picking some of these rare instances where these guys were either undervalued or overvalued. Somebody like a Khalil Mack or a Ryan Leaf or something like that. Like he's got a pretty good track record. He says that he thinks that Caleb Williams is going to be a colossal failure, but he didn't stop there. He's now mad at the Chicago Bears because he feels like they did Justin Fields dirty. It appears that no matter what the Chicago Bears do, they are not going to appease Merril Hoge. Now, Merril Hoge again has had a track record of some very interesting and intriguing calls, and he's been right. He's also been wrong about a few of them. So, because he does that, does not mean that there is a problem or trouble in paradise, if you will. We are 3 days away from Caleb Williams becoming the first 4,000-yard passer. I'm just kidding. It's not going to be 3 days. But according to Chase Daniel, according to several other people on Twitter, Caleb Williams in his first season is going to throw for 4,000 yards. They believe that this team has been set up for success in a way that very few have. And it looks like Ryan Poles might also be creating addition through subtraction if the trade rumors are any indication. So before we kick this off, please, if you like this type of content, make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell to be notified. And you'll notice we're in Pittsburgh yellow and black today for some stupid reason. It's because of Merril Hoge. The jig is up. But so let's kick it off. So Merril Hoge says that the Bears have done this team wrong. First of all, 2 months after being upset and saying that Caleb Williams is going to be a colossal bust, Merril Hoge has doubled down. And what he said was he dislikes Jaden Daniels a little less than most, but he says you actually see a kid that I think has the best skill set, the best total skill set to transition to the NFL of all the guys that we have in the draft. And by this, he's talking about Jaden Daniels. This is probably strange to some reading it, as they expected it to be Caleb Williams. After all, the Bears traded Justin Fields because they were planning to draft Caleb Williams first. But as anyone who has been following is aware, Hoge thinks Williams is terrible and a wasted draft pick waiting to happen. He more or less said this in a few interviews where he said, and this is the KOA podcast from about a month ago, or a couple days ago. But he says that just because he runs around, he's exciting, which is not a skill set, by the way, does not mean you can play in the NFL. And just because he is extremely elite in college does not mean he's going to play in the National Football League. From how you have to play in the NFL and how he has played, he has a massive learning curve, and that is not going to be easy. Hoge maintains Williams will not be Hodge. God damn it. Maintains Williams will not be able to play within structure well enough to be consistent and succeed among many issues. Too many of his big plays come from extended plays outside of the playbook, says Hoge. That's how you win. That's how you win is through structure. There's a reason coaches design plays, create offenses when everybody has a job to do. Okay, it's just hey, make a play or two. That's what you would do. That hurdle is his biggest hurdle. His biggest challenge will be his ability to function in a pocket, dirty and clean, and process things and throw with his accuracy that he has. That is a daunting task for him because he has won a Heisman Trophy doing it another way. He never has really done it from the pocket. He never has displayed that he's done it from a pocket, and that will be a learning curve for him. Now, of course, this is not entirely true. This is not really what Caleb Williams is or has been all about. However, if you cherry pick, and this is going to be the best that I can say about this, if you cherry pick some random videos and you look at them the way Merril Hoge is talking about right now, you can convince yourself that that is happening. However, if you type into, let's just call it YouTube, since we're here, Caleb Williams playing within structure, Caleb Williams from inside the pocket, you have 20 and 30-minute long videos watching Caleb Williams make the plays that Merril Hoge is saying that he doesn't play in. A near compliment has directed Williams' way of processing play, and Hoge says his processing is just okay. At least that's a compliment, and it's the only compliment that he's given Caleb Williams at this time. There's going to be a lot of traffic around them, he said, of the incoming quarterbacks. There's going to be a lot of pressure on them, and they don't experience in college how you function in that environment, because that is ultimately how you're going to have to perform in the NFL. And with a clean pocket or a dirty pocket, he is very average. His processing is average. Now, he is as elusive. He might be more elusive than Patrick Mahomes. Um, does that mean he's better than Patrick Mahomes? Absolutely not. His elusiveness is actually, it's rare, it's unique. However, it's reckless too. I mean, I can't tell you how many times that ball has been on the ground, 16 career fumbles. He doesn't protect the ball. He went on to bash Williams for a perceived lack of mental toughness, his height, and saved a shot at the Bears too. He says the TV and the internet highlights are what Hoge have conditioned us all to think Williams is something that he's not. Near the end of his diatribe on Williams, Hoge goes off on a tangent comparing Williams to Mahomes, even though this hasn't necessarily been asked. Because listen, he's not going to a playoff team. He's not going to some of the greatest coaches in NFL history. He's not going to go and sit there for a year, and he's not going to go and have a great mentor. Okay, those are all things that Patrick Mahomes has. So apparently there is Patrick Mahomes, and then there's every other quarterback in the NFL, except C.J. Stroud, who Hoge says that he loved. Hoge says that he loved from day one. I keep calling him Hoge just because he's a hoe. And then this from Hoge. I don't know how tough he is mentally either. I don't know if he is a self-anointed punk. And then, by the way, that leads to this little nugget right here of Donald Trump saying teams are making a big mistake not taking Johnny Manziel. He is going to be really good and exciting to watch. And that did not work out. And listen, I really think that this guy is overreacting to. Listen, I think Merril Hoge has decided early on and is just continuing to find new pieces to rally his own opinion. Hoge, and he has once said he liked Brian Boram better than Aaron Rodgers. Now, let me say this. Thank you, Merril Hoge, for liking Louisville quarterback Brian Boram better than Aaron Rodgers. But that didn't exactly work out. So when I say that he does things like picking Ryan Leaf to be a colossal failure, or Jamarcus Russell to be a colossal failure, or that he picked Khalil Mack to be one of the most underrated players in his draft, and he was right about those. He picked Brian Boram as a better prospect than Aaron Rodgers. So let that sink in just a little bit. Let's remember that Merril Hoge is not the guy that you go to for all the greatest of information. So not a big fan, has not been a fan of the Chicago Bears and or of what's going on with Justin Fields. Now, here's what he says. One of the worst things that you can do to any player is what the Bears did with Justin Fields. What they did to Justin Fields is probably one of the worst things that you can do to a player. What I mean by that is every year he had a different coordinator. He had different learning. He had a different system. And there's no way, I don't care what your profession is, if you keep starting over and over and you change things every single year, I don't care what your skill set is, you can never be good. You can never get better. You can never evolve. You can never develop. That was unfortunate for him. Now I actually believe he is in a really awesome spot in Pittsburgh for that development. In case you're wondering what kind of bullshit Merril Hoge is on, everything the Bears did is wrong, and everything that the Pittsburgh Steelers does is good. I mean, that's really what it came down to, right? However, it could be that it really is it is a good thing for Justin Fields. It very well could be that this is the play for Justin Fields to really get him into a better frame of mind and to perform better. It's a shame that it's not going to be with Chicago, but this is Caleb country now. So during Fields' rookie season, both head coach Matt Nagy and offensive coordinator Bill Lazor were involved with play callings, which could have caused some confusion and distinction. During the 22 and 23 seasons, Luke Getsy was the coordinator and play caller for the Bears, which created some measure of continuity, but not enough as the offense still floundered and Getsy was fired. However, the 2023 season did see Fields play some of his best football, where there were still loads of issues. Perhaps Hoge's assessment is correct in that Field couldn't really get better until the organization had a solid foundation. And listen, here's the funny part to this. Merril Hoge is right. Justin Fields did not get a fair shake in Chicago. A lot of us fans, that's why we like Justin Fields, is because we felt like he did not get that opportunity. But the problem with that is that the Bears just ran out of runway, as Ryan Poles likes to say. They have to pay him a lot of money. And at this point, he's still a prospect. Could he be a great prospect? Yes. Could he eventually end up better than Caleb Williams? I mean, maybe. I mean, the possibility exists. I don't see it right now. When you start to really look at the tail of the tape, and you're not looking completely at the statistics, and I'm guilty of it too, by the way, because I like I like Justin Fields, and I gave you guys a lot of statistics that would show you that Justin Fields was every bit as good in college as Caleb Williams. However, there are some differences, and you can see them on the field by watching the play. The way that Caleb Williams processes the field, the way that Caleb Williams finds the next target, the way that Caleb Williams avoids the rush and still looks to throw the ball and doesn't look to run the ball, more suited to the NFL. There are plenty of pieces that are in place for Caleb Williams that makes him a much better and much more viable option overall than what we're seeing right now, or what we saw from Justin Fields. There's a lot of upside potential that we can see in this. So I don't think that's the case. I think that the Bears, they surrounded they surrounded this new regime, if you will, with Caleb Williams with a lot more talent. They improved, I think, the coaching staff, and I think they did a really good job of improving the coaching staff. And they've given him either much better players around than Justin Fields had, or they brought in enough rookies, gave the rookies enough playing time, and the second year players enough playing time that they are going to be prohibitively better than next season. So, look, I think that Darnell Wright makes a significant upgrade. Von Dexter, significant upgrade. These guys are going to get better. Braxton Jones, I certainly hope that, cross your fingers, that he continues to improve because the team is high on him. But you know who they're not high on? Larry Boram. And it looks like Larry Boram might be traded before we get to the draft. So we're not there yet, but let's go over that in just a moment. Now, moving on here, Caleb Williams, when he was in Chicago the other day, went out to dinner. And who did he have with him for dinner? Well, the answer to that was Cole Kmet, DJ Moore, and TJ Edwards. So that gave him an opportunity to kind of bond with the team and let these guys get a sense of who he is, a feel for who he is. These are his two most likely longer term targets. Remember, Keenan Allen may or may not be here for a year. You know, he might be a rental at the end of this. Hopefully, we could possibly get somebody like a Marvin Harrison. Look, there's crazy drafts out there saying that. And in fact, I'm going to show you a draft today that's just been a little bit wild. I also traded up to take Marvin Harrison. It cost me the 2025 first and Carolina second round pick in order to make that happen. Plus, of course, the number 9. I think that's expensive. I think the more logical method, the more I do this, the more logically I think that the big move here would be probably to take Rome Odunze. However, we're sticking with Marvin Harrison at the moment because it does look like he's been purposely tanking himself and not doing things with the team or anything, because he's looking to get himself into Chicago or another place that he wants to go. So it very well could be that he's playing a game with them. But while it won't become official until Thursday, what is becoming more apparent with each passing day is how thorough the vetting process was for the Chicago Bears before making the decision to pivot to Caleb Williams. Adam Schefter delivers a bunch of nuggets and tidbits ahead of this week's NFL draft. When Caleb Williams visited Chicago in early April, the Bears did something smart. Rather than have Williams go to dinner with their front office and coaches, they sent him to dinner with team leaders Cole Kmet, DJ Moore, TJ Edwards, and a few others. The thinking was those are some of the team's most respected players, the players who others listen to. And this group then would be able to tell the other players what they were getting in Williams, who is likely to be the number 1 overall pick. Not only does it sound like he left an excellent impression during this dinner, but it feels notable now to read about Williams dining with his future teammates. This might look like a footnote in the grand scheme of things, but it doesn't appear to be that way. Having Caleb Williams chop it up with DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, and TJ Edwards is pretty heady on the Bears' part. Moore was voted team captain in his first season, earning team captain before the first regular season game. Kmet has had honorary captain status in each game in the last 2 seasons. I figured the Bears thought highly of Kmet when they signed him to an extension last summer. Money talks, but also they clearly view him as a locker room leader and someone they want Williams to mesh with from the get-go. The most interesting dinner invite, of course, was TJ Edwards, who isn't a captain, but has some of the most unique perspectives on anyone on the Bears roster. Edwards knows the lay of the land in Chicago, both as a player and a fan, because he grew up in Chicago. Plus, Edwards has playoff experience, having played in 5 games during 3 postseason trips with the Philadelphia Eagles. In other words, everyone at the Caleb Williams dinner has a story to tell that could help bridge the gap between the rookie and the team's veterans. At a minimum, I'd bet the dinner conversation was elite. Now, don't read too much into this. However, I feel if you can surmise from the names emerging via reporting done on the matter that the players who are being named checked are the ones the team thinks best represent the franchise. And I think we already knew they highly thought of players such as Cole Kmet and DJ Moore, but seeing TJ Edwards and another member that came in was rookie Tyreek Stevenson. We're also part of the dinner speaks volumes about what the Bears think about those guys. And that's just something to keep in mind. So, um, in the end, all this serves as a reminder that there's so much more to being a quarterback than throwing touchdown passes, like getting along with your teammates. So shout out to the Bears for doing something which I really think was a pretty good move. Now let's move on here, because this man right here could be gone any moment now, because he is a starting level player. He has not been fantastic in Chicago, but he is big and could be some trade bait coming up into the draft. Larry Boram has been with the Chicago Bears for 3 years, but he may find himself on a different team. Brad Biggs of the Chicago Tribune, one of the most knowledgeable insiders of the Bears, was asked specifically about Boram, and his response was, it could become crowded if the Bears draft a tackle. If Boram doesn't figure in the team's plan, the best case scenario would be finding a trading partner. His salary could make this a little bit challenging, but if another team likes him, he has ample experience with 39 games played and 23 starts. Maybe the Bears could flip him for a late round pick or involve him in some type of pick swap. A 5th round pick out of Missouri for Chicago in 2021. He's played 39 games, started 23 over the season. Being on the field as much as he has over the past 3 years has resulted in a $2 million pay increase for the 2024 season, which Big believes could influence whether Chicago keeps him or not. He's got enough playing time in his first 3 seasons to hit the escalator in his rookie contract that boosts his base salary to $3 million, and that may be more than the Bears want to pay him, especially when you consider they signed Jake Curran for $1 million for a 1-year deal, and of course, Maddie Pryor. So Curran will have to win the job as a swing offensive tackle, and who knows what the competition looks like right now. Boram and Curran aren't the only noteworthy options at swing tackle for Chicago. In addition to Curran and Boram, the Bears also signed Matt Pryor, who should also compete for the starting swing tackle position. He's played in 75 games over 5 seasons, starting 24, and he's familiar with Matt Eberflus. They were in Indianapolis together. So that could leave Boram as the odd man out in this rotation. Considering his experience and ability to play multiple positions, Boram may stick around at least for 2024. But beyond that, his future with the team is probably non-existent. So, and for Lord Crimson says he's not a starter in Chicago. He's not a starter. His starts in Chicago are indicative of how desperate the offensive line situation was in, but that still makes him a starter, which gives him value in the open market. So what the hope is that in this open market, people are going to see that and they're going to say, well, you know what, this is a viable option. I mean, the guy checks all the boxes. What, he's 6'5", 330 pounds. I mean, the guy's huge. So it could be that Boram also has the flexibility to play inside at guard, but he'd be a guy to keep an eye on in training camp. And if he performs well, the salary wouldn't make keeping him prohibitive. If he looks like he's improving and if he looks the part, then the Bears could hold on to him and maybe release somebody that they just signed. You never know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? And also, this is another piece right here Where the Bears need the most draft help should be totally clear. And of course, now you're seeing it. I've spent the last 4 or 5 days talking up DeMarcus Walker, telling everybody who will listen, I think DeMarcus Walker, maybe we sold him a little bit short because after the season started to progress, he started to become a little bit better, played a little bit better, and had a couple of sacks after Montez Sweat. However, there are some statistics that say that he cannot be that guy for us, and that he probably won't get better. And this is from Gene Chamberlain with Sports Illustrated. Um, Either going to help out Montez Sweat or Caleb Williams. That's the analysis of this draft, as they are the two leaders for each side of it. So they added Keenan Allen, they added DeAndre Swift. They've already kind of loaded up Gerald Everett, so they have everything that we need on the offense, except maybe building for the future. Now, Gervon Dexter on the defense is probably going to get a lot better. He is a three technique player. So there's sufficient targets on the defense or on the offense. The second edge rusher, though, for this team is DeMarcus Walker, and he had the most pressures of his career with 22 pressures. He had 3.5 sacks, and 2 came after the acquisition of Montez Sweat. There's nothing indicating Walker would enjoy a major leap forward because they have Sweat the full season. It was only a slight improvement for him. In fact, he had a rate of pressures 1.33 per game after Sweat compared to 1.25 before, and that was not a huge number. Now, we also should at least recognize that Yannick Ngakoue was still healthy and was the starter at that time. So it might just be that the increase, maybe we're wrong. Maybe he's going to be who he is. However, I feel like he had 6 pressures towards the end of the season, and I thought that he's had a great. I thought that he had a great closeout to his season compared to what I had expected, which was basically nothing at that point. Gervon Dexter at 3 technique did play better than Sweat after Sweat came to the Bears, with 11 of his 17 pressures and his 2.5 sacks all being after Sweat's arrival. However, he was a rookie, and rookies naturally become better towards the end of the first season after they start to figure it all out. And running back DeAndre Swift has never been below 46 receptions until last year when he had 39 in Philadelphia. Williams threw plenty to running backs in USC. So the player who benefited the most from the Sweat effect was Justin Jones, who had 13 of his 22 pressures and 3.5 of his 4.5 sacks after Sweat's arrival. Of course, Jones is gone now and hasn't been replaced. The pass rush help doesn't have to be an edge, but this would be a benefit. They would actually use a tackle and an end. The 3 technique play was average with Jones and typical rookie mistakes with the others. This is the reason there's so much buzz about the Texas defensive tackle Byron Murphy, a 3 technique perceived to be the best in the draft. Dominique Robinson provided nothing last year, and 2 seasons have shown this is what to expect. So the edge situation, the pass rush from the line, doesn't look to improve at all from the end of the year unless the Bears add help. Now, let me, because this guy's going a long way towards giving this and saying that, really what we need to do is we need to look at that edge rusher. And I'm all in on an edge rusher. If we pass on some receivers, it won't be optimal. If we don't make a move for Marvin Harrison, I'm not going to like it, but it won't be. If we don't get if we get somebody like a Dallas Turner, if we get somebody like a Jared Verse, if we get Latu, a Chop Robinson, if we get one of these fairly elite defensive edge rushers that are in this available draft, then I do think that it's an upgrade for the position, and it is a welcome upgrade to the position. But DeMarcus Walker is going to be the starter, and DeMarcus Walker, it looks like, is still working to improve himself. He hasn't shown a fall off, if you will. So I like that in the event that we don't make a move, we are still the number 1 rushing defense. The difference here, the problem here is we're the number 25 passing defense. So the question is, can we get the enormous upgrade from Tyreek Stevenson that we're looking for from rookie to the second season? Are we going to get that? Are we going to get the continued improvement of Jaquan Brisker? Is Jalen Johnson going to earn that next contract? Is he going to work hard to make sure and there's no drop off in his production? Will Jack Sanborn, TJ Edwards, and Tremaine Edmonds, will they continue to kind of dominate the middle of the field? Because again, these are the things that we have to ask, because They haven't really closed the deal. You don't have the the number 25 passing defense if you're doing a great job. Kevin Byard as an upgrade over Eddie Jackson. Is it an upgrade? We'll see. But if it is, this could be a better season. And Kyler Gordon in the nickel package, Kyler Gordon has been a great player. So, it looks like the Bears on paper are a much better team, but we haven't seen it in the statistics. So, the question is, can we hold them long enough to give these linemen a chance to get to the quarterback? That really is the question. And if you consider that Montez Sweat is probably going to command a lot of double teams, then it's going to be on Gervon Dexter, Andrew Billings, and DeMarcus Walker to do something. And we need to see them do it. And if we do, this is going to be fantastic. Also, by the way, if you didn't, go watch that interview on Zach Pickens on Friday. Um, so, I think that I kind of agree that having an edge rusher would help. I'm not going to back off of Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen is probably only here for a year. I know I'm saying that and I sound like an asshole probably saying it, but I don't see him being here for a longer period of time because I don't think it's responsible for the Bears to spend $20 million on an aging wide receiver, no matter how good or great he may be. That just doesn't make enough sense. That's not where your payroll is best spent. So, this could be a prohibitive and problematic sort of scenario. So now the question is just basically, what is the deal right here? Are we going to have, is it going to be the wide receiver? Are we going to get Roma Dunzi? Are we going to get Marvin Harrison? Are we going to make the move? Are we going to freak out and go after Malik Neighbors? Are we going to go after, one of these elite guys? Or are we going to take an edge rusher? And if we can, could we trade back and get 2 first-round picks for the number 9 maybe? Could we make some kind of creative way, drop down and grab which I will show you in a draft that somebody did. They made 3 first-round picks, picking Caleb Williams, of course, at number 1, Xavier Worthy, I want to say around number 17, and then Jackson Powers Johnson around number 27. That would be a worthy Xavier Worthy move. This guy is not in the elite level. He's in the very good level, but I don't think that he came across as an elite receiver in the context of the intangibles that we saw out of Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, and Roma Dunzi. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not or what it is that the Bears are going to do. But now that we're there, let's start breaking these in, because this is the first draft that we got, and this is Pete Jurich from Bears Goggles On, and he does a Bears landing 3 top draft picks. So he's going through this draft, and he says that at number 1, the Bears are obviously going to take Caleb Williams. Then we get to Jaden Daniels, Drake May, J.J. McCarthy via trade for Minnesota. Then the Chargers take Joe Alt. The Giants take Marvin Harrison. And you see Marvin Harrison now dropping down into the 6. So that's, you know what I mean? I think DJ Moore, I don't think that matters. I think DJ Moore wants to win. So even though you're right in that he was probably not happy with that trade, he also understands that it's a business. And in this business, it's about actually performing. And look, I mean, I love Justin Fields, but Justin Fields has to do a better job. I mean, Justin Fields has to perform at a high level, and he did not perform at that high sort of level. So in the event that Caleb Williams comes in here and DJ Moore in any way becomes a mentor to Caleb Williams, then that could change dramatically. You're right, he wasn't happy. I'm pretty sure that he understood and he was annoyed by it. I think a lot of players were, but they're also professionals and they understand it in this business. He knows they were done wrong, but it's not Ryan Pohl's intention to do Justin Fields wrong. It was his intention to keep Justin Fields forever. So I think that when this works out, he's going to shrug and be like, you know what, it's cool. I honestly think that that's what's going to end up happening. Now, number 7, Tennessee selects Dallas Turner. Number 8, New Jersey selects Malik Neighbors. Look at what we're getting coming down here into these spots. Getsy's play calling wasn't at a high level. You know what? Actually, Getsy scripted up some of the best plays in the first quarter of the games. Justin Fields' quarterback rating in the first quarter was 107. So that's not true. He actually did a fantastic job. It's his ability to adapt that he wasn't doing a lot of great play calling. And that was a trust in Justin Fields. And I mean, you have to be at some point, we have to be honest at some point and say, Justin Fields did not do the things that Justin Fields should have done in order to keep the job. We have to be honest about that. There are plenty of different plays and plenty of different opportunities where Justin Fields could have come up with some big time plays that moved the ball, that did something positive for this team, and he did not. So, we at least have to be honest about that. There were pieces that were missing from Justin Fields' game that were not developed, and it is the fault of the coaching staff that it was not properly developed. And it was also the fault of the coaching staff to put him in plays where he couldn't get where he couldn't evolve the way that he played, or that he wasn't naturally fit for what they wanted to do. Like, they should have recognized that. They should have made accommodation. Like, there's plenty of different fault to go around with the coaching staff, but Justin Fields has to execute. He has to execute. He had a 35 QBR in the fourth quarter, worst in the league by a long shot. And yes, coaching is an issue, but he had 0 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. The coaches didn't throw those balls. The coaches did not throw those balls. Justin Fields threw those balls. Okay. So he has to be accountable in some way. And look, I say that as probably I'm a giant Justin Fields fan. I wish him nothing but success. I would love for him to be still on the Chicago Bears, because I still think that he's got a tremendous future. But you can't pay $25 million for I'm getting better. I'm getting better. You can't pay $40 million for I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Give me a little more time. You can't pay that much money. I mean, and that's what this was. This is not about Justin Fields, by the way. This is about the amount of money that it costs to maintain a quarterback in the current state of the NFL. Next season, this season, Justin Fields would get $6 million. So you can take this out of the equation. But after this, after 2024, $27 million is what it's going to cost to take the team option for the 5th year. $27 million is what you're going to have to pay Justin Fields. And then after that, you have to negotiate a $40+ million contract, because the salary cap just keeps going up. So it's going to be a minimum $40 million to pay Justin Fields in order to keep him on the team. That's too much for your quarterback position, especially when you're a team that's not ready for and you haven't developed him properly. And you have to recognize that, look, and the Bears can say, look, we didn't develop him properly. That is 100% our fault. But at the same time, it's also our team. So we have to do what's best for our team. And what's best for the team was moving on. I don't like that, but that is the way that they felt it. So anyway, getting back into this, at the number 9 position, Arizona selects Roma Dunzi because the Chicago Bears have traded out of that position. Number 10 is Latu Latu for Atlanta. Arizona takes Terrion Arnold at number 11. Philadelphia takes Quinyon Mitchell. Las Vegas selects Troy Fatanu. New Orleans selects Olu Fashanu. Number 15, Indiana selects Brock Bowers. Number 16, Talise Fuaga goes to Seattle. Number 17, Pittsburgh takes Brian Thomas Jr. Number 18 sees Cincinnati taking Byron Murphy. The Rams take Jared Verse at 19. Jacksonville takes Cooper DeJean at number 20. Miami selects Graham Barton at number 21. Number 22 is Denver. Number 23, Chicago, via Cleveland through Houston, Minnesota, and Arizona. Like, this is a wild ass group of trades, you know. But here they select Xavier Worthy at number 23. Thanks to the mocked trade with the Cardinals, the Bears are back on the clock and elect to take a dynamic offensive playmaker in Worthy. The super speedy first-round receiver of late seems to disappoint throughout their careers, but do not get this confused. He is a football player first and a track star second. Adding him to a receiver room of DJ Moore and Keenan Allen would diversify his skill set, and he would have to work with and they would work with him as a rookie. Number 24, Dallas selects J.C. Latham. Number 25, Green Bay selects Amarius Mims. Number 26 is Tampa Bay selecting Nate Williams. And number 27 is a trade with Houston for Chicago, where they then select Jackson Powers Johnson. So that's the idea that they have here, that somehow or another we're going to that we're going to trade up for 3 first-round picks, and then we're going to secure Xavier Worthy, Caleb Williams, and Jackson Powers Johnson. And look, I'll take it. I mean, I'll take it. Xavier Worthy, a little on the small side. Like I don't know that would not be my predominant pick. It would not be my first selection, but it is I mean, I don't have much problem with it. You know what I mean? So another draft has Caleb Williams going first, and then trading down to number 15 to pick up edge rusher Latu, and that's trading with the Indianapolis Colts for the 9 pick, and then moving up into the second round at pick number 46 to get Chris Jenkins. I don't even know how they're doing it, by the way. This is just somebody randomly pointing this shit out at round 3. And I assume when they traded down, I assume they're trading down with Indianapolis. They got the 46th pick from Indianapolis. So Chris Jenkins from Michigan, defensive tackle. And then in round 3, at pick number 75, Washington wide receiver Jalen McMillan, the third guy in the Washington team. So is that a great move? I don't know. And then trading down with the number 5 pick to number 137, picking up Javon Foster, offensive tackle out of Missouri, and then punter Torrey Taylor out of Iowa. So that's an idea of what these guys think could happen. Now, let's hear it on the X. And the first thing up on Twitter is Chase Daniels is asking the question, will the Chicago Bears get it right when they draft Caleb Williams? They've used first-round picks on Justin Fields, Mitch Trubisky, Rex Grossman, Cade McNown, Jim Harbaugh, and Jim McMahon, and still have no 4,000-yard passer. Caleb Williams is going to change that in his first year. So Chase Daniel is saying that Caleb Williams will have a 4,000-yard passing season in his first year. So I think that means that he's got him pegged in as the starter, which would be interesting. I mean, I think that, at this point, I really think that the Bears are probably looking at making him the starter. Of course, it should be clear, but Chase Daniels thinks not only is he going to be the starter, he's going to be a 4,000-yard passer in his first season. Also up, Justin Fields fan club has Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison on the radar. Well, you know what? And Lord Crimson says, who cares about yards? Statistics. The Chicago Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer. They've never had a rookie, or they've never had a first-round passer pass for 3,000 yards. There's a lot of different silly things that are an indication that potentially there's something to it. And if we're the only team that doesn't have it, then I mean, what are we saying? Like we have one sort of in 1985. We had the nice little Super Bowl win, but I mean, no matter how many games we win, it's about winning Super Bowls, right? Well, it's time for the Bears to do something different. So everything that we've done so far hasn't really gotten us there, and not getting 4,000 yards passing is also consistent with that. So Ben Devine, in the meantime, gives his big board. His big board has Caleb Williams as the number 1 player, Marvin Harrison at number 2, Malik Neighbors at number 3, Rome Dunzy at number 4, Joe Alt number 5, Byron Murphy number 6, Jared Verse number 7, Dallas Turner, Brock Bowers, and then Latu. So that seems to be, and Dobbsy says, I love Jackson Powers Johnson. On the other hand, Worthy worries me. Well, I mean, the guy is 6'1", 170 pounds. So it should worry everybody that we're looking at a 170-pound guy. However, I am being told that he plans on bulking up quite a bit for the NFL, that it's not that big a deal in Texas, and that we should ignore some of his size because he is a football player first, not a track star. So if that is the case and that's legitimate, then maybe there is some opportunity here for Xavier Worthy in the event. I mean, look, we're projecting here that something might be different, but yards aren't trophies. No, but it's an indication of passing capability, and this is a passing league. No matter how we look at it, no matter how we like it, the NFL is won through the air right now. The quarterbacks have all of the advantages that they've never had in history. So now this has become a passing league. So we've got to pass the ball. McFack says, my thing is just win. Big stats are cool to gloat about. However, I don't care about stats, just win. Well, coming along with that, if you can't pass the ball, you can't win in today's NFL. All of the rules, all of the pieces that you evaluate everything on teams is now centered around that passing game. The quarterbacks are making astronomical sums. The quarterbacks with the biggest and most lively arms that are making the most passing yards are the ones that are winning the games. Is it consistent? No. Nothing is ever consistent. However, the more passing yards you're having, the more opportunities you have to score points. You score more points than your opponent, then you're in a good position. Now, that comes down to defense. And if we have a defense that, like the last 6 games, was the number one scoring defense in the league, then we'll be in a better position. So the defense does have some responsibility, but it doesn't matter how good your defense is. As we saw last year, if you only score 9 points against the Green Bay Packers, or you only score 17 points against the Cleveland Browns, if that's all you can score, you're not going to win in the NFL. We have to score more points, and that's done through the air. So there we are. A nice little change of pace would be to have a good running back, DeAndre Swift, Khalil Herbert, Roshan Johnson, represent that. Khalil Herbert, by the way, is trade bait at this point. We should recognize that. But anyway, let's move on to the next one. And with the 9th pick, this just by the anything against I don't have anything against Talise Fuaga, but this came out and it said with the 9th pick, the Chicago Bears select Talise Fuaga, and I'll just let it run. So whoever this was, not a fan of not a fan of Talise Fuaga being the number 9 selection. So but let's let that go. My draft was very, very simple. No changes to the roster, no changes to the lineup, nothing that I can see that would create any significant change. Larry Boram, if he's gone, no big deal. He's not the starter. Khalil Herbert, if he's gone, no big deal, not the starter. When I say that, I don't want to be disrespectful to them as players or anything like that. Just that, I mean, this is a business. So now what we're looking at is this right here. So in my draft, I took Caleb Williams as that number 1 guy. After taking Caleb Williams, I did move up. It did cost me the 1st round pick in 2025 and Carolina's 2nd round pick in 2025, which means that I only have a 2nd round pick, 1 2nd round pick in the first 2 rounds at this point going forward for Marvin Harrison Jr. And the question, of course, is, well, is that okay? Well, you know what? We just got Caleb Williams, which I think is probably the best quarterback in the draft. And then number 4, we got Marvin Harrison Jr., which is the actual generational talent in this draft, if there is one as such. So I think that's worth making at least one move. I'm not sure whether or not that's the best move. And then at number 75, I took Braden Fisk, defensive tackle out of Florida State. Still want to shore up that line in some way. And then number 122, Matt Goncalves, offensive tackle from Pittsburgh. So there we go. And well, so I think at this point, Roshan Johnson is better. I think at this point, Roshan Johnson represents a better opportunity for a move. This Herbert is going to be a nice change of pace for sure, but I think Roshan Johnson kind of moves in. He runs hard and he catches the ball way better than Khalil Herbert. So he's more of your DeAndre Swift type guy. So if you want Khalil Herbert as a change of pace guy or something like that, the other thing is DeAndre Swift, he also runs tough. So I don't know that Khalil Herbert is actually needed on this team. I think you can probably get a 3rd round as an undrafted free agent, or a 3rd round. You can get a 3rd running back as an undrafted free agent, or you can pull somebody in from free agency and probably not have as tremendous a drop off as you might think with Khalil Herbert. And that's no disrespect towards Khalil Herbert. It's just that, I think they really want, I think they want to advertise Khalil Herbert, show what he's got. And I think they want to get rid of him. And then they want to go with Roschon Johnson because he's still got a couple years left on his rookie contract. Crimson says, I don't expect much from Swift. He benefited from a great offensive line. So let's go back and say, who was the number one rushing offense in the league last year? It was still the Chicago Bears. So whatever you think of DeAndre Swift is still behind the number one rushing offensive line in all of football last year. I can't stress this enough. It's passing and pass protection where they have a problem. Running the ball has not been, and will not be a problem. As a matter of fact, Keenan Allen is a good blocker along with DJ Moore. Cole Kmet and Gerald Everett are both outstanding blockers. So I don't think that that we're looking at it the same way. I'm looking at the offense as what it is, not what I want it to be. And what it is the number one rushing offense. So, and some of that, by the way, is Justin Fields. He did have, I think, 600 yards rushing. But if he weren't throwing, if he weren't rushing, if he weren't running the ball, he'd be handing the ball off. That's what they tried to do. And they ended up number one. So, and by the way, Swift is a much better blocker than, and this is the important part, at least in my brain. DeAndre Swift is a far better blocker than Khalil Herbert. Roschon Johnson, I don't know that he's had enough opportunity. He's been okay, but DeAndre Swift represents one of those options. First of all, he can block, and then once he's blocked, he can release, and then he can make all the catches. So I really think that they've done something really good. So I think that this is going to be a much better team. Anyway, just my opinion. I just my opinion. You never know what's going to happen. And look, the important thing I think is this: get Caleb Williams, get Marvin Harrison Jr., let the rest of the chips fall where they may. And then I think that the Bears become a really elite and a really good team going forward. So we'll see what happens. So let's see how this all plays out. In the meantime, guys, I'm going to be live for the draft. We'll be doing this here on draft day. So there'll be a morning show, of course, in the morning where we'll just go through whatever the news is. And then for the draft, we're going to go live and we're going to start watching and seeing what happens with the Chicago Bears in this draft. I'm certainly going to be fascinated. We probably, of course, we're just going to stick around for the first selection through the ninth selection. Or if we end up trading down, then we're going to go longer. But we're going to find out what happens with the Chicago Bears, and we're going to break it down for you as best we can. And so we'll see you with that on Thursday. In the meantime, if you like this type of content, we're on at 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time every single day, Monday through Friday. So tune in and let's have a conversation and let's have some fun. So bear down, and we will talk to you again very, very soon. You guys take care. See you tomorrow.